Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Captain's Lounge. This is Captain's Lounge episode 32. Everybody here, thank you guys for showing up. Thank you guys for being a part of this. This is going to be a dope stream. I have with me today my good friend Jordan. Like usual, it's going to be like usual. And for people that aren't aware, I am Captain Diesel. And if you're ever wondering,
you're now watching the Captain.
it's gonna be a good stream. We're gonna have a bunch of topics that I'm honestly really passionate about. And I've talked to Jordan about this before the stream, but it's gonna be dope to have conversation with somebody that is a lot closer in age to me, that may be a little bit more tapped into a lot of the stuff going on in pop culture and media. I love talking to my older homies, my guys with Blur Lines Media and my guys with the In and Out podcast. But this is something where it's a little bit different. It's a different dynamic, and I'm gonna enjoy this. It's gonna be a good conversation. But before we get into this, Jordan, how are you doing?
I'm good, man. You saying that I'm similar in age while off camera, you tell me I'm old, feels real good, man. That means you're old too, buddy.
I'm embracing it. I'm woke up, my knee hurting today.
Yeah, man. That cold air, that wind outside, man, was throwing me for a loop. But I'm happy to be on here to talk about this.
But y'all, for anybody wondering, if you watched out the thumbnail, we're going to be discussing movies today, cinema, if you will. And more importantly, we're going to be discussing how Gen Z, let me pull this up. Gen Z went to the movie theaters most often in 2025, according to a new Expedition report. So this stemmed from me seeing a post on Instagram that had the same headline, and I figured, hey, let's do a little bit of background research to see if there's any truth to this claim and kind of, dissect why we feel like this is. Because again, up until this point, we've seen a lot of narrative over the last couple of years that movie theaters are dying. Nobody's going to theaters as much now. And if you guys have watched the In and Out podcast to any extent, shout out to the In and Out podcast. Please go check that out. And a lot of the episodes we did, especially one recently, we talked about why a lot of people that are millennials aren't going as much, especially people that are with family. So if you're a millennial and you have kids, whatever it may be, things are going to get expensive because you're not just paying for your ticket, you're paying for your kids, your significant other, whoever else is going with you. So it tends to be more of an expensive endeavor. And then a lot of people, I feel like in that age demographic, may not have other things that make it easier to go or more affordable, like Stub Pass from AMC. If you're at Regal Theaters, the Regal Unlimited Pass, which again, if you want more information about those, my homegirl Celeste Cinema, she talks about all the deals and all the movies that are in theater. I think tonight at like 11 o'clock Eastern and like 7 p.m. Pacific, she's going to go over there and do a live stream for Jingle All the Way. But that's me shouting out other Black creators and other people that I think are dope. But getting into this topic, Jordan, I'm going to let you kind of go into the article because you had the article pulled up right here.
Yeah, so like as Charlie was talking about, he came across this, and I just thought it was really fascinating how 2025, the people who kind of went to the movies the most, with Gen Z, as Charlie just mentioned, like, it seems counterintuitive, right? We've been told all these numerous times, box office scores are down, people ain't going to the theater. But like going through this article, I really kind of dive deeper into the actual report that Cinema United actually did. But what we find is that, who says that Gen Z audiences like much rather watch movies at home, right? So we found out like that percentage grew 25% over the past year, which is the highest of any group. So what we're finding is Gen Z is not just going to the movies, but like a fourth of us are all going to the movies more. And the most interesting thing is this article or this quote right here from Michael O'Leary. He's kind of the CEO of Cinema United who kind of did this report. And I thought this quote here that I'm going to highlight really encapsulates some of the conversation we're going to have right here. He said, well, actually, I'm going to start with the first one. He said, weekend box office is important, but a more accurate measure is looking at the industry on an annual basis and considering myriad other factors in the marketplace to get a more complete picture of the strength of the industry. 2025 is a perfect example of a year where an inconsistent box office threatens to overshadow other variables that point to a bright future for movies on the big screen. So this kind of goes into the conversation, and we can keep on going through the article and talking about it, Charlie, but I just find it really interesting because usually, like you just said, most people are saying the movies are down. To hear the guy who kind of basically ran this report, or at least the company that ran this report, is like, hey, don't just look at the box office as like just a testament to like where movies are going. What we're finding is that, like it says right here, 77% of Americans, more than 200 million people, went to go watch at least one movie in the theater this year. Like, and then the fact that, people who went to see 6 movies or more in 1 year went up 8% compared to 2024. So, like, we're going to go a little deeper and dive deeper into the report, but like, I just wanted to give you a chance, Charlie, to get your response to that real quick.
Yeah. And for people that are here, we also have the actual like study, like all the PowerPoint slides that Cinema United did with a lot of their research and breaking down like the age demographic and all these different things. But I find this very interesting because, again, a conversation we have on Then and Now a lot is what is defined as a successful movie in Hollywood. And for a long time, historically, and I think for the most part today to an extent, Hollywood looks at a successful project as you making back double to triple at least your money that you spent on the budget for producing the film. So if you're a movie like any Marvel movie where you're spending $100 to $200 million on a budget for a film, you expect that much money back, and they're expecting like $1 billion rewards for it. I always, and I've vocalized this a lot, and not just then and now, but in general on my platform, that I find that to be a very greedy way and stupid way to evaluate a movie being successful. At least for me as a creative, I look at something is, did I make my money back that I put into this thing? I was able to make this piece of art, and this piece of art was amazing. Did I make back the money that I spent on this? Cool. At bare minimum, I broke even. Perfect. Did I make any profit from that? Cool. Now I can say that I produced this product, I made my money back, and then some. That is a success to me, and I feel like that's how a success should go moving forward in theater. I think that's how you should define a successful, not just movie, but product as a whole. But because success is defined by like tripling your budget on a film, I think that goes to show like a lot of movies being pushed to the wayside. And I think that's why we had this epidemic of requels or sequel requels or Harry Potter 15 or whatever. Like, we've seen a lot of these movies because this is the stick that we measure success by. And because of that, it doesn't leave a lot of room for a lot of smaller indie movies or movies that are not attached to a comic book or an established IP already to really shine. And I think this year, more than any other year, we saw that those types of movies can succeed. And some movies succeeding very much so in the box office, kind of following even the archaic model of how we define movie success. When we're talking about things like Sinners, when we're talking about things like One Battle After Another, hell, I don't know how much money this movie's made yet because it's kind of a recent thing, but I just got back from a theater and recorded my review for Marnie Supreme, which is an amazing movie. If you guys haven't seen it, please go see that movie. I loved it. I'm probably gonna go see it a second time with Jordan at some point whenever he was to go see it. But
Yeah.
that, like, we saw so many of those movies, especially within the horror genre in itself. All these original movies that were made for cheaper budgets, from like ranging from like 30 to even $90 million, which are by movie standards are incredibly cheap, and had marketing budgets that were maybe either equal that or maybe like 30 million. And again, on the grand scheme of how much movies usually cost the market, is extremely cheap. So the fact that we're able to have these movies come out and perform well, where they're making their money back and then some, this goes to show like how much the theaters are thriving, especially in a time period where everybody's saying theaters are on the brink of being dead, where people are scared that Warner Brothers will get acquired by Netflix and that'll kill theaters. Like, movies as a whole and movie theaters are going to be just fine. And I think that a lot of the measuring stick for, especially in not just movies but in products now, is always measured by millennials, because they're the demographic that usually has the most disposable income right now. Gen Z, in this shitty economy and how the country is currently set up, we tend not to have a lot of disposable income. So the fact that we're going to the movies in droves now and a lot more frequently is really interesting to me.
Yeah, no, I agree. Just because of that, the economic factor, one thing, but just the second thing, uh, again, the narrative being driven as just the contrary, right? Like, they were not doing that. But I think that's a testament to, like you mentioned, the movies that have came out that are really good. But also, I think, at least, I'm speaking for myself. Like, I'm personally an A-lister myself for AMC. There's just something, at least for me, magical about being intentional about going to see a movie on the big screen, grabbing your popcorn and your drink, either going with your homies or even just by yourself, and just sitting back in that recliner, seeing it like pop up for you and just enjoying that experience. It is an experience. Like, I think for a lot of folks, including myself, if I'm just watching it on TV or my iPhone or whatever, like, it's good. Like, I think I just told Charlie before the stream, like, in Chattanooga, they're in the Tennessee Aquarium. They have like this huge IMAX screen, huge. And I was like, I'm gonna watch Oppenheimer opening night there. I could have easily watched Oppenheimer and waited a couple months, and it would have been a pretty decent experience at home because I have a decent TV and the movie's good. But man, nothing hits like that opening night hearing the bomb goes off and just the music and like just feeling not just my experience, but seeing other people like lean into their chair and like hear the gasp. Like it's an experience. It's almost like I know when Endgame came out, people say, "Oh, that was like a roller coaster ride." But I'll argue that all movies, especially if you're in a like full theater, has that same experience. I felt that same feeling when we watched him. I mean, like me and Charlie, Chris went out there to watch him. It's just like that same thing. Well, something would happen, everybody would laugh. It's just like it's like a collective thing. It's almost like a community thing where you come in and watch this collectively. So it's I think that's another factor too, because Gen Z, in my humble opinion, hot take, I think Gen Z really yearns for that sort of communal aspect because of COVID and other things. We didn't really get much of that. Like, me and Charlie were in college when that happened. So like a lot of folks didn't really get to connect as much as they probably could have earlier. So now we're really trying to claw into that. And I think movies is a way to do that. So this is a huge jump. I would have never thought it was 25%, but it's just good to see that people are respecting the movies despite the box office scores for some movies saying otherwise.
Yeah, I honestly like my maybe it's a high take. I don't know. I feel like you will never be able to see and experience a movie to 100% of its capacity if you don't see it in theaters. There's always going
Yeah.
to be this hint of like awe and shock and sense of community you get when you go to see it in person. And whether it's horror
Yeah.
movies where it's like we all got scared at this exact same moment where we all kind of are we're captivated, whether it's in drama, whether it's in romance, and it's this room of people who are collectively going through these similar emotions with one another and experiencing it at the same time. And
Yep.
it honestly, I feel like and maybe again, it's honestly like I'm gassing it, but I genuinely do believe movies are a big push into the cultural zeitgeist of like a country or a society because people are going to see these movies and these movies are sparking conversations about how we perceive life. Like when Sinners came
Yeah.
out, the amount of conversations I saw around Black expression, around identity, around different things like that that spawned from that movie was amazing. When we have
Right.
movies like Weapons that come out, or maybe the Good Boy wasn't talked about as much in the big mainstream zeitgeist, but as far as just things that make people talk and think and challenges your frame of thought process, because this is art. Like art is meant to
Yeah.
challenge your frame of thought and put a mirror up to some form of thought and expression and make you really think about how you feel or how you're seeing the world. So I think
Yeah.
that to your point, it makes sense that Gen Z is going a lot more often because it's such a crucial time of development. I feel like, and again, my people that are millennials, y'all let me know. I feel like, again, as you get older, you get kind of more stuck in your ways and you're not as open to different perspectives and things can make you think, but usually those things have to be things that you empathize with or that you can see yourself in. Like if you're a
Yeah.
30-year-old and you're watching a movie about kids, you may not, get that same similar sense of connection as you do with if the movie was in like based in the 90s, right? Where it's a time you grew up in, that you can actually remember, or if it's seeing people that are older. And I don't know, I feel like Gen Z has that good balance in between right now to where we can still love those older films or films that are based around topics that may not relate to us directly, that are more ideals that happen or pieces in history that happen, like an Oppenheimer. And we can still love things that are more based in our age demographic are things that are based around modern day when you're looking at something like a Barbie or anything of that sort.
I
But
mean,
go ahead.
Barbieheimer worked for that very reason. You know what I mean? Two vastly different movies, but you had people in our demographic being like, "Yeah, I want to watch that back to back." Like you had the same people who would. I did it. I actually two times I watched one movie, finished that one, went to the next showing of the second movie just down the hallway, and I saw a lot of people do the same thing. And it'd be people you don't even expect that would watch Barbie stereotypically that went in there and then stereotypically people that you thought wouldn't watch about a guy who blew up Japan will go in there,
Mm-hmm.
but they did. It's just like, you know what I mean? Like it's like it was that was a cultural thing. I mean, that's a whole nother discussion in itself. I mean, that should have been, I guess, a sign of the trend in the right direction where you saw people making memes about that. It's like, yeah, man, like we're gonna go watch the same day, man. Let's go do it. So um yeah, it's fascinating. I know, Charlie, if you want to go ahead and dive into the report or you want me to kind of highlight anything else from the article.
Yeah, I'm gonna let me go ahead and switch over to the report again. So right here, everyone, is the report. This is a study that we were talking about earlier. So This study is essentially one, and I'll read through this introduction here. It says, as our industry is about to experience yet another massive shift, there is one constant that remains unchanged. Movie theaters sit at the forefront of experiential economy, the beating heart of cities and towns all around the world. And I think this still stands true. Like, for the most part, Jesus Christ, people that, like, when you're at high school and you don't have anything to do, usually what's the cheap thing you do as a high school? You go to the movies. When you want to have a date night in any age, like from teenager to an adult, you go to the movies. The movies have always been that thing that everybody goes to see and spend time at, no matter what age you're in. And this is interesting. Interesting thing about the study here. We see that movie going remains a mass behavior, with 77% of Americans visiting a theater over the past 12 months within this year. And the study from the National Research Group in August of 2025, and say, despite noise around different devices, the big screen experiences continue to win attention across generations. According to them, Gen Z moviegoers have increased by 25%. Last year, so defined by the National Research Group, people, and this demographic are people that have seen at least 6 movies a year. And it went from 25% to 33% this current year. And most of this age demographic ranges from 12 to 74 years of age. And this uptick, it's an interesting uptick. And let's go through a little bit more of this. And this is something that you brought up too, as far as the investment into these programs, loyalty programs, right? Because if you're looking with AMC Stubs, if you're with Regal, or I was with Look Cinema for a long time, these are things that allow you to see free movies or really cheap discounted movies, and even give you discounts on certain things like concessions and things like that. That jumped in 15% in North America since 2024, and 134 million people currently is the current number of loyalty members in America. So to put this into perspective, people, there are roughly like 200 to 300 million people in America alone. I think it's around 200 million, right? Or 300. It's
yeah, it's like it's I think it's like the number is 300. Yeah, 340 million people. So that means like a third of Americans, or I guess the third of people in North America has a subscription based like loyalty like club that they're a part of. That's a lot of people, man.
Yes, that again, when I hear the theaters are dead and I see numbers like this, like people are going, people are invested, and people they're utilizing these ways to see things cheaper. And it's something that funny enough, I wish I would have had this study whenever we had our conversation about it on Then and Now a couple weeks ago, because I was preaching like the existence of these things, like the loyalty programs, but our whole thing was like, we don't know how many people are actually utilizing these avenues. So the fact that 1/3 of people within the country are using this shows just like how much tapped in theater is. And honestly, even with like the fear of streaming being a thing, we're starting to see these streaming companies try to invest and find ways to get these movies in theaters. We're looking at anime movies, and the fact that something like Demon Slayer was released in theater and made as much money as it did, even though that wasn't optimized to be a movie, like that felt like a couple episodes of an anime mashed together. It was crazy. And then we're looking at, I believe Netflix is going to try to release the finale of Stranger Things in theaters, I believe, as well. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I heard about. I don't know if that's like official, but I remember they were talking about trying to make that happen.
Yeah, but I am aware that they are trying to start getting into the theater game, where they're going to try to open up like Netflix theaters. That's part of the reason why they wanted to acquire Warner Brothers, so they could have access to all those IPs to where they can do showings. Because that is also something I'm noticing a lot more in theaters now, especially in Regal and in Look. They're starting to do a lot more showings for older films. Like they're showing not just like films from the 80s or the 70s like Star Wars, but they're showing like Dancing in the Rain and the Maltese Falcon, like these really fundamental films that help build up cinema as a whole. And they're just like really showing those. And people are going back to watch those in droves. Like Kill Bill releasing recently, you saw a bunch of people go back to see just like an extra 15 minutes of a movie they've probably seen a million times. I think my homeboys Nick and Greg, like they were gassed up to go see that movie, and that was like a 2-hour film. And it's a movie you've seen already, but it's just like 15 extra minutes of like scenes that were cut from it. And it's interesting the way that works out. And the further into the study here, we're looking at the number of wide releases this year. there were projected to be, or there was 111 wide releases across all theaters, right, in 2025, and we see that being a jump from 94 in 2024. Next year is projected for that to be even 4 more. So we're seeing even more films being planned to be released like wide across the country or across the world. And I gotta gas up horror, because horror is also going up extremely much so. Where it's from 2024, it was 24 to 26 to 29, and these are projects that are having millions of dollars poured into them, from production to
Nope.
marketing. And we're just seeing, again, even with us seeing a lot of major movies like the MCU stuff, Marvel's been struggling a little bit, and other movies like that bomb, these major movies bomb, we're still seeing even more productions being made. So it's not like, hey, we're losing money, but we're scared, whatever, so we're gonna jump out of the game. No, we're seeing significant success in other avenues with other movies that aren't attached in. If you guys stick around during the stream, we're gonna sit down and kind of go over our favorite movies of the year that weren't attached to a comic book or prior IP, and we're gonna kind of break down how many there were that we thought were great, and that we believe were financial successes. And
Yeah.
again, that was just interesting. And now, even so, we're gonna look into and when you're looking at like PG rated movies, and these are just movies that are marketed just towards children. Dog, 18 to 25 projected next year is crazy to me.
Yeah.
And looking at the comment section real quick, my guy, Coach Steele, shout out to Coach Steele, man. Theaters went dead during the pandemic. That's when it got worse. Yes, streaming caused it too, but the stay-at-home pandemic was the huge hit. People are starting to come back out recently. Yeah, and I agree. I think especially what really made this such a big thing, especially when you're looking at like the Barbenheimer stuff, is because people couldn't go to the theaters. When movies that were coming out that even seemed like they were worth going out, everybody went to go see them. Because I vividly remember when Oppenheimer and Barbie dropped again. It's still like somebody needs to go back and maybe we can do a study like that whole phenomenon, because these are two movies that on paper should not have been as successful as they were. One is a period piece based on a World War II bomb, where it was literally just Buddy studying and going through the process of building this bomb. Not even anything crazy like guns firing off, like he wasn't in the war. It was just the study and the drama of it all. And the other one was a movie based on Barbie. Like a movie that should only really be popular to women and young girls, but we even saw a bunch of men going to see that movie multiple times. I went and saw it, I think, twice.
Yeah, I watched it 3 times, man. It's fire.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Fire movie, man.
And again, we're looking at the studies again. I'll bring this up again. We saw 85% of theatrical anime releases aged 13 to 34. We're looking at animes. 85% of people want to go see those. And the number of video game adaptations worldwide also jumped. So we're seeing a lot more video game adaptations.
Wait,
I think
you see
recently
that?
we can expect Street Fighter really soon.
I just noticed I didn't read this one. It said, the one all the way on the right says, what consumers age 10 to 24 prefer to do the most? And it says number 1 is see a new movie opening weekend more than concerts and sporting events. That's actually interesting.
It's not that surprising to me, because when you're looking at the price of a concert, especially for bigger artists like Beyonce, it's expensive as fuck, and it's a whole thing. It's a hassle to leave your house, go to this big venue. You're stuck in traffic for forever. You're paying hundreds of dollars to go see this thing, and then you're just taking forever to get out of that venue. With a movie theater, you have this big cultural phenomenon that's going to happen that everybody's going to talk about at school. Like if you're, let's say I'm going back to me being 11 or 12 in middle school, right? And a new MCU film comes out. I know everybody in that school, whether you're a nerd or not, you're going to go see the new MCU movie, and then you're going to come back from school and talk about it. And then more than likely, it will be crazy. I remember specifically when we went and saw Deadpool when that came out, right? I would see everybody from all my classes in the theater with me or in line. I was seeing all my classmates. So people that go to work with you, that are in classes with you, are probably going at the same time you're going. They'll see that thing opening weekend. Especially the rise of anime and a lot of the Eastern stuff where you're looking at the Demon Slayer movie, the Chainsaw Man movie, and then K-pop Demon Hunters was another one that was another big one, which again kind of goes back into our point about Netflix wanted to dive deeper into theater releases.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, you frame it like that, it makes complete sense. It's just kind of, I don't know. It's wow, yeah. Because it's always joked about that movies are expensive to go to anyway. So I guess they're well, between this and again, you talked about concerts, I went to a Beyonce concert, that the chaos in that and trying to get out of that traffic wise. So it's much preferred. You go to the movies, quite simple. You park, you might have to park. If you're in Atlanta, you might have to park a little bit further back, but I mean, it's maybe a 2-minute walk, if that. So yeah, much cleaner experience for sure.
And I think the last one we went to we went to that Cole concert in 2021. We
Uh-huh.
spent what, 300 to 400 bucks in those tickets, right?
Yeah.
And then we drove from Tifton, so we drove like 4
3
hours from
hours. Yeah,
Tifton
three or
to
4 hours.
Atlanta. We're in traffic forever, and then I had to drive all the way back. It was a whole thing. Although we had a great time, that was a whole thing. Versus us going around the corner to our local theater, seeing the movie, and then now we were talking about it and enjoying this experience for the rest of the night to like next week. And the
Right.
next thing here I want to also kind of look at is this idea that movie theaters are noticing that Gen Z is upticking in their viewership, and they're starting to invest in them more. It's saying here movie theaters are making the kind of investments that Gen Z consumers value the most. They're building new, larger screens, installing enhanced sound systems, creating more dynamic food and beverage options, and adding new seats to auditoriums. As a result, Gen Z moviegoers are seeking out movies more often. So, like when I think they did a study here where they were like, I think they did a survey where they were asking like the things that motivated Gen Z people to go to theaters. 38% were talking about how big the screens were and wanting to go see a thing on something bigger than their TV. One was ordering food that you get drinks at your seats and at the deluxe lounge seats. So like I
Yeah.
took you to Look Cinema. That's part of the reason why I was at Look for like so long. One, because it was like right next door to where I used to work at, but also it's a dine-in theater. I spent an
Right.
ungodly amount of money because I had the loyalty program, so I could see a movie free every day. And I'd be like, oh yeah, I'm saving money. But then I would still go and end up buying like quesadillas or pizzas, or they had mac and cheese. They had like restaurant food. Now, granted, it wasn't like, high fine dining, but it was like
They brought it to you.
Applebee's quality food that you would get at like a sit down restaurant like Olive Garden at the theater. And I'm starting to see a lot more dine-in theaters have that stuff there. I think like Epics or iPix in Atlanta's like that now. Even
Hmm.
movie theaters like Regal or AMC, they're moving away from just having things like popcorn and nachos, where they're starting to have pizzas and hot dogs a little bit more frequently, and better quality versions of those too, from the pretzels and things of that nature. And they're even, again, all this stuff is going up, and it's interesting. And Gen Z, they're going to see like 4 to 6 movies a year, which again, for the most part, is really rare because most people, when you're looking at everybody included, not just Gen Z, it evens out to only really going one time a year for the most part. But when you're looking
Right.
at just that age demographic, it like more than triples. It's
Yeah.
interesting. It's interesting to me.
Yeah. I mean, like, again, out of the, if, I mean, we're just looking at this right here. Out of the Gen Z members that is in the study, almost close to half of all the Gen Z people they studied went to a movie at least 6 times in a year. Like that's not a small number. So that's basically what I'm gathering from this is Gen Z is like, well, if I'm gonna go to the movies, I'm all in. Well, I'm gonna see it on the biggest screen. I'm gonna make sure my seat's good. I'm gonna make sure I get the food that I want. Because again, you're already spending the money. So if you're already gonna spend the money, might as well just have a good experience whilst buying the tickets. But henceforth, that makes sense why the loyalty program is increasing so much in popularity because you don't have to buy the tickets. So it's almost like girl math. It's girl math being like, well, I can spend this because like yeah, uh, I don't have the money for. Well, I already spend the money technically on the ticket, so I can spend this money on the concessions. It all balances out. I mean, that's what I do. I'm just like, yeah, I can buy me a
Mhm.
little something, something here. It's just like because I already bought the tickets. Technically, they're free. I mean, yeah,
And
granted, I did pay for the subscription, but you understand what I mean. That's probably what it feels like in the moment.
right. Alex here has a good point where he talks about hopefully theaters don't take this as an opportunity to keep raising prices. And I
Uh,
agree, that is a
yeah,
fear. That's part of the reason why I'm not really so much pro Netflix acquiring Warner Brothers or any of these other streaming platforms doing it, because I think that's a chance to monopolize. And although I don't think they're just
yeah,
going to ruin it outright, I think that's going to like make an arms race for everybody to get all like for Paramount or Disney, especially Disney, because they're about to get rid of Hulu soon and everything's just going to be on Disney Plus. I see a lot of these
hmm,
companies like the next big art, because we went from streaming not being a thing to streaming being a thing and people going away from theaters as much to now streaming platforms are going back into investing in the theaters now. So it's like this full circle moment of like, yeah, we moved you away from the theaters just to put you back in there, but double the rate now because we're going to invest in it more often. But to
yeah,
Alex's point, I fear, I'll know that theaters are being greedy when the way that these reward programs work are gone. Because for right now, the
yeah,
value you get in a rewards program is really dope. Like,
yeah.
again, that's the Regal Pass in general, right? I think I was paying $20 a month for my unlimited pass, and they have a thing now to where you can buy 5 months for around $85. If you enjoy movies, if you're like me to where even take out me being a content creator, just me enjoying movies. I will legit go see everything in theater throughout the course of a week. Like after work, if I'm bored, I got nothing to do, I'll pop into a movie for an hour or 2 hours, see a movie, and then I have an experience. And I get to see every single one of those movies for free. And if I'm not being a fat ass and buying food every time I'm going and spending $40 on food, then I'm getting that movie for free, and I'm getting well worth my value back in that $85.
Right.
And it's interesting. And then Coach Steele says he has his idea why Gen Z, the reasons why Gen Z is pushing this. He says, women like to go out. You're only going to tell this girl you want to Netflix and chill, but so many times. And I agree. That's another thing of like, it's honestly, the movies are just perfect date experience too. It's a perfect date night because honestly, I've taken a lot of dates to the movies for the most part. I think all my dates that I've been on outside of like one or two this past year, we went to the movies at some point. Because it's a way where you get to sit down and enjoy this thing. Because let's say in this hypothetical situation, right, and it's not too strange for us, we talked about this. You have a bad date, right, where you end up like having this bad date. At bare minimum, even if you never talk to this woman again or man, however floats your boat out there, you at bare minimum got to enjoy something you were going to enjoy anyway. Like, I was going to go see this Marvel movie or this movie anyway, but I got to experience this thing and have fun with it, even if the date didn't go well. And let's say the date does go well. Now you have this topic that you can break down and discuss. And if it's a movie like Marty Supreme or like a Sinners that are going to encourage a lot of depth in thought process, now you get to know this person even further because you're questioning things that are societal in nature, and you get conversation that goes deeper than the surface level, depending on what kind of movie you're watching. So again, this for people in Gen Z, it's this affordable day thing you can go do that's going to have a lot of value on the other end. It allows you to get to know somebody a lot more. So I don't know if that's something that's discouraging to people that are millennials or whatever, but I don't know.
Yeah, because when I think about it, like an average dinner now, because how everything inflation wise is and affordability just keeps on getting worse and worse. I mean, like you take somebody out on a date, like a dinner date, like you're probably dropping $60 to $80, and that's like that's an Outback. I'm not even talking about anywhere. So, like, my thing is, I know it's almost like we're doing a full circle on this because I think actually, if you have your own A-lister that you drop 20 for, mind you, if you go into an IMAX tickets are $20 a pop by itself. So, like, you already paid your subscription. Let's just say you buy her ticket, and then you got. I know when I have my A-lister, the points are like multiply by × 5. So I usually have like free $5 coupons. So usually the concessions sometimes are free. You buying concessions on the house like that. If you're doing the math, like you probably spending $20 and $30. So in reality, movies have come full circle where it might be the cheaper option again.
Bruh. When I went on those dates with old girl, the most recent situation I had that you know about, literally we went on 3 dates, right? We went on those 3 dates.
Right.
I probably spent around $200 in all 3 of those. When I look at what we did in the movies, right? I got my ticket for free. I paid, I think like $18 for her ticket.
Right.
And then I got discounted concessions. So I spent like maybe $30, if that, on a date for both of us. And we could have just went to the movies and just like chilled out there and talked. But I was like, you know what? Let's go to all the extra shit, like going to a video game arcade we went to, or even going to dinner. Let's say we just do that and go to dinner, right? My whole thing for the whole day goes from like $200 plus to just maybe like 100, 110, which is a lot more affordable for a 2-person thing where we're both going out and doing something. Don't let us go to a dining theater where food is included in that. Now, what do we got to go to an extra place? We can just go get like coffee or something after the fact, or just like chop it up wherever after the fact. So for a date night, especially in this economy, these are all factors why I see why Gen Z is going a lot more often. And I'd be curious, like I really want to sit down with a lot more of my millennial friends and ask them like what's the most discouraging thing to going to the movies outside of the price tag. I understand that if you have kids and a wife, that price is probably going to be around the same. Like the $200 I spend is probably what you're going to spend for just the movies because you're bringing everybody with you. But maybe not so, because again, with a lot of these places, you can get multiple tickets. You get discounted tickets. Like you'll get one free, and the next one will be discounted. So maybe you're not even spending that much. I don't know.
Right.
But I'm curious to know like what is the most discouraging factor for millennials and maybe older people as well. That outside of you just being older, not wanting to go out the house, what's discouraging you from like going to the movies more often, especially when it's a movie that you feel as though you'd be interested to go see?
That is interesting because you're right. There is like promotionals, and I think like AMC does like $5 Wednesday or Tuesday, excuse me, where like tickets are like $5. So I mean, I am curious to Alex's point, Greekflation, will they like stop those sort of things? So now they're seeing an uptick. But yeah, I am curious about, Gen Y basically talking about like why they don't want to go to the theater. I am curious about that.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's really interesting. Because this is such a again a cheap date idea, cheap avenue that you can go down. It really, I don't know, it's interesting because again, for
Yeah.
years and years, for like the last like maybe 3 to 4 years, I feel like we've had the conversation around movie theaters dying. There's no A-list celebrities that make people go see movies now, and I had a whole tirade during the Then and Now podcast where I talked about. I'm like, these companies and these theaters, well, not even theaters, just these production studios are just lazy. Like, you can't just say, "Hey, Arnold Schwarzenegger is twins with Danny DeVito," or "Arnold Schwarzenegger is a robot. Come see this movie." Now you have to, one, make a good movie, and then two, think about how you're going to market this movie in a way that is going to capture an audience. You have to actually put in the work. You can't
Yep.
just rely on a star now. Now there are some instances where you can have an actor that's maybe like, I think a Michael B. Jordan is like that, or Leo is like that, where people are like, I'm fans of this actor, so I'm going to go see this person in this theater. But for the most part, that's not as bright. I think we talked about it before. I think the directors are more so of the new A-list celebrities, but even then, that's only for like the top like 4 or 5 directors in Hollywood. For most of the other directors, people don't know who they are. Like, people maybe enjoyed not saying Candyman, or maybe enjoyed the Marvels, which a lot of people didn't, but they don't know who Nia DaCosta is. They're not
That's
aware of who
fine.
she is, and she's a great director. So that's again, it's all very interesting in how that goes. And my guy, Coach Steele, again, I think Coach Steele's a millennial. I don't know how old he is. I think he may be a little bit older, maybe. He looks really young, so I don't know. But shout out Coach Steele, Black Don't Crack. But he says, I love going to the movies, but I prefer the location with the chairs that can be adjusted by remote. And we
Oh
order
yeah.
food and they bring it to us. It's like being at a restaurant with a movie. Yeah, the dining theaters, those. I think those are a lot more. You 40? Damn, you 46? Hey, Black Don't Crack, bro.
Hey,
All
but don't
Black Don't
crack.
Crack. That nigga look good. Shout out Coach Steele. But yeah, even like bro, dining theaters, I feel like are becoming a lot more of a frequent thing now too, because it's not just food, but they let you buy alcohol too. Like that
Yep.
look the cinemas or the place I took you to beforehand. I legit will go in there on a frequent basis, depending on the movie. I will see like a black couple come in like dressed to the nines, and they will order like an entire bottle of wine and just like chill out and vibe watching the movie. And then I don't know if
Yep.
they went to go do anything after the fact, but if that was a date night, that was a date night. And that was like couples that looked like they were in their like 50s, maybe late 40s, mid 40s. But yeah, do you have any closing sentiments on this topic before we switch over to the next thing?
No, it's just really good to see that movies is like that quote that we talked about in the beginning. I know it's very easy just to look at the headlines and say like, oh, Superman underperformed or the Marvel movies underperformed, but it's just good to see when you look at the picture as a whole. Mind you, this is just one company that's taking these stats together, so you have to also keep that in mind. But also just the pure fact of seeing these numbers go up and people wanting to go back to the movies, I think is a good thing, man. It just gives us another thing to do together, in my opinion. So it's great to see, and I hope the trend continues to go in 2026.
All right. Agreed. Y'all, we're getting ready to move into our next topic here. And this is going to be a doozy
Oh
for
God.
a lot of the people that are not, chronically online and that are employed. This may not be a big thing to y'all, but for a lot of people that aren't aware, there has been this epidemic within the last couple of years of just parasocial behavior, where people will see a celebrity, people will see any kind of entertainment or athlete, and feel like they know them or feel like their life is their life, and they just get really too invested. And I want to bring up a video here, and we're going to react a little bit to a video by a kind of creator that, friend of the channel, Omeezy. He's been on here once, I believe, for a stream I did a while back on gatekeeping. And he has some news on a new event that transpired recently with our good old boy Kai Cenat.
While consuming some of the phase drama that was going on my timeline, when a tweet shocked the world, Kai Cenat saying, "I'm single and I will never be in another relationship again." Now, this will be a strange revelation. Kai Cenat has been very public, but yet private, but public about how much he has been in love with his girlfriend, Gigi, who is also another content creator. And we know he had been going through some mental health issues. So being in a relationship, we would think that it would be something that, would help him get through this journey. But there was some speculation from allegedly
Commercial.
You gotta love that. I need to buy YouTube Premium for streams and if anything else, because this shit is annoying.
Sinat's girlfriend Gigi was cheating on him with NBA YoungBoy. Yeah, crazy unemployed stuff right here. Now, there's no proof to those claims, but there is strong evidence citing that this is a real breakup between Kai Cenat and his girlfriend. His assistant Bree even tweeted out a cryptic trash can emoji on the TL.
They said Bree tweet. All right, now it's getting a little heavy. All right, now it's actually getting a little heavy though. Now it's getting a little heavy though. See what I'm saying?
Facts.
Now this is where I shut the fuck up. Cause you know what I'm saying? Now you get a different way to. You know what I'm saying? Cause see now, word.
Now, if you've been around this channel for a minute, you know my favorite part about the internet. Everybody exists there. So we get to hear both sides of the story, seemingly. Kai Cenat's ex-girlfriend, Gigi, would clap back on social media, saying, I left. Now you want to get on the internet and rush to paint a false narrative about me off a fake Twitter post is insane. I've never cheated on him, and you know that. I have never dealt with that man. Play that sympathetic role somewhere else, please. Now, there's a slight problem with Gigi's story, and I think that opens up the bigger...
So I'm going to skip through this. So there's a part here that I want to talk about in particular that I found very interesting, because a lot of this shit is going to be going over the internet's perspective on the man bashing thing. Where is it at? It's later on in the video. Oh, here it is.
Academics himself.
Some rumors going around that Kai Cenat's girlfriend Gigi is cheating on him with NBA YoungBoy via DJ Academics on his live stream. Here's the thing, chat. This is not true. I just want to tell y'all this, man. I know all y'all be loving Kai and whatever, and this is why I realized, like, me and Kai, we've talked, not recently, but like we've talked multiple times, just offline and shit like that. Man, when y'all love a nigga, y'all be just attacking other motherfuckers no matter what. Bro, how I get caught up in the group chat?
Trying to figure it out.
This is the first.
So literally, the thing that sparked a lot of conversation was that tweet talking about how DJ Academics talked about this on a stream, and that shit didn't even happen. Well, hold on, there's one more part here I thought it's fucking hilarious.
First thing, and this is when I realized, I keep telling y'all this one thing I always say, it's better to be liked than to be right. Bro, how y'all read a headline that says, Academics reported that Kai Cenat's girlfriend Gigi is cheating on him with YoungBoy, and I said it on a live stream that I stream to 15,000 people every night. 15,000 people. And there's not one video clip of me saying this.
Hey, let's talk.
People.
So,
Hey.
and that's a whole different conversation around people just seeing a headline. Like literally on Twitter is this thing where like people will read the caption of something on a video and not even watch the video, but go into the comment section with all the vitriol in the world. And I didn't notice how big of a thing that was until I will like post a video on Facebook or Instagram or whatever it may be, and somebody would say some shit in the comments, and it'd be about something that I addressed like 7 seconds into the video. So I'm like, you didn't even watch it. You just saw that caption or that title and immediately jumped into it. And it's media literacy is at an all-time low already. But the big conversation I want to have here is around the parasocial epidemic of people even care. Like this should not be fucking major news. Somebody breaking up with their girlfriend should not be something that like thousands of people care about. And whenever it fucking happens, now everybody's getting off think pieces. Everybody's talking about, you're starting to bring back up the what do women bring to the table conversation, or like women wanting men's money, blah, blah, blah. All that bullshit is coming back up now, all based off of an interaction that somebody had in regards to them just breaking up. Something that should be irrelevant because it happens every day. What is your, how do you react to all this information that you're kind of getting at all?
I mean, to be transparent, this is a multifaceted discussion. I think there's so many angles to kind of look at this that I just want to let people know straight up, we're not going to be able to solve the world problems talking about this right now. But I think for me, it's interesting. This goes back to this thing that I think if we're at a core level, I believe that people want to be heard, seen, felt, loved, appreciated. And people want community. But what we find is that we're, maybe because of the internet, maybe because of other things, that people are isolated. I think COVID really like pushed that. And I think we're still trying to pick up the pieces from that. And what I find is that if people don't have an in-person community, they try to still fill that gap in their heart by like latching on to celebrities and kind of living through them. So, you'll see scenarios all the time of like, you see this example, but like you can talk about this with the Barbs with all the Nicki Minaj stuff that's going on. You can talk about Taylor Swift. Like it's funny you talk about who cares about this, but if Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce broke up right now, it would be New York Times.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
It would be. Am I wrong?
Because you know what's crazy about that too? Go ahead.
Yeah.
Finish that. My bad.
No. My thought process is just like I want to give people grace and understanding that like like I see where you're coming from with just wanting to be a part of something. People just this makes people feel like they can be a part of something to have a discussion. I really want to hold space for that, but also there's a flip side, there's a shadow side of me that's just kind of like, why do we care about this? Like I'd much rather people are sweating about this, but there's a lot more horrendous stuff that's going on in the world in this country that we could be talking about and being really mad about, but we're more mad about a nigga breaking up with his girlfriend. So it's just like, not saying that's not important. Like I think that video talked about Kai Cenat's mental health issues. I really do hope genuinely he's getting support from that. And I don't want these people to not be successful. Like I don't wish ill on anybody. I hope they figure out what they figure out. But I think the energy that we put into this can be dedicated to more essential stuff that we should be really frustrated with, but we're not. So that's why I said this is a really multifaceted question, because I'm just like, I think it's one of those where I see where people wants to be a part of this bigger thing where they're forced to have discussions and like feel like they're on team this or team that. But we can dedicate this energy to something else if these conversations can be had, of course. But please continue with the Swift and Kelce thing.
Oh no, it was 10 years related today. It was really going to be a Nicki Minaj thing, but I wanted to kind of talk really quickly. Like my first reaction to all this stuff, like, dog, I saw that news, and any other time I see news around Kai, because Kai, there's a thing where it's just the popularity at the peak he's at now. But whenever he does anything small, whether it's this, whether there was a video of like him kicking a robot at one point, that robot's whole shtick was that it wouldn't fall over. People fucking go crazy. I see that news, and I'm just like,
hey, whoop-de-doo.
And I don't care, but I get so confused because I'm seeing people that are so passionate about have these think pieces and want to talk about this, like Kai as an individual and what he believes in, and blah, 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 blah. They pull up receipts from clips. Like this whole situation, people were going into history of the internet and pulling up streams with old girl where she was talking about like her perfect man, and she was describing like 6 foot nigga with waves. That's not Kai. And because that clip exists on the internet, people went to dig that shit up, and then to have this whole think piece on who she is as a person now. Even if those clips were from like 4 or 5 years ago, she can't change her mind. Who she was then is who she is now. And people just, they treat it like reality television, and it feels like it's more tangible because these people are content creators, not just celebrities who can only access through like major publication events. But the piece I wanted to kind of get into with the Nicki Minaj thing was the dangers of this and why this shit is crazy to me. Because for years, one of the top 2 most toxic fan bases on the internet that ever existed are the Beehive, for one, which that shit was so bad. Like we saw a show called Swarm in Amazon that was like really based around that. And a lot of the incidents that happened where old girl was so like lost and wanted to go to this concert, she ended up like murdering across the country to get to this concert to see her favorite celebrity. And the Barbs. The Barbs will literally be weaponized like fucking the Winter Soldier. Whenever Nicki says the word, they'll attack them. Motherfuckers, when she was beefing with fucking Meg, I think motherfuckers were like going to visit Meg's mom's grave and doing crazy shit to her. People were talking crazy to her online. It was insane. Only for Nicki to go to Turning Point USA and put on her shoes, put on her fucking makeup, the minstrel makeup, and start tap dancing on that motherfucking stage, saying everything that went against the beliefs of the people that were her fan base. Her fan base is mostly women and people within the LGBTQIA plus community, right?
Yeah.
And she was like, boys will be boys. It's okay to be a boy. Like just saying wild shit that actively went against the existence of your fan base. All these people for years were saying they were Barbs, they were invested in all this stuff, and all of a sudden now, on a flip of a dime, she's just actively against all you guys and your beliefs. But you were so socially like attached to her and like saw her as like a deity, like they literally deified her. So that goes to show, like in Hollywood, you never know these people truly. Like there are celebrities that I personally looked up to that were cool. Like I was a huge Kobe fan. I cried when that nigga passed away. I'm a huge J. Cole fan. I really like love a lot of his messaging. I'm big fans of John Cena, people like that. But I also understand I don't know these people, and they can be evil people behind the scenes. I only know of what is publicized with them. So behind closed doors, they could be crazy. Hell, some celebrities, people are so parasocially attached, they're publicly crazy, and motherfuckers still go with it. I'm still really like, I would love to talk to more like my millennial fans that were like outside when they were popping, but like the fact that R. Kelly was public and they had a tape of him doing crazy shit to minors, or like people knew that Diddy was a fucking crazy lunatic, and people were just so parasocially attached to these people. They were just like, hey, the music good, we ain't worried about it, we're just gonna put this shit to the side. Like that is the kind of behavior that can stem from parasocial behavior where evil shit is normalized to where it's just like, oh, it's them. That's I guess it gets into the conversation like separating the art from the artist. And although I do believe to an extent you can do so, but when that art is creating negative behavior that can harm people, or just a narrative or a rhetoric, that's where I'm like, okay, that shit gotta go. That shit gotta go. We got some comments. Go ahead.
Yeah,
go.
No, it's interesting because I think it's multiple things, right? And again, I think there's so many layers to this. It's like I think there can be like case studies on this, to be completely honest with you. But one of those things is, if you looked up to this person, like I see this with Kanye fans a lot. Especially like millennials, and like when they grew up with him with the College Dropout trilogy, right? This man got you through a really tough time when he was really socially conscious. George Bush hates black people or don't care about black people. Like he was your guy that got you through college or got you through a rough part of your life. You got this like almost tied to him because music can just do that to folks. And I understand that music is a very soul bonding thing, especially if that specific song or artist got you through a time. So you feel tied to this person. Like, yeah, this person got me through this, so I know this person. I can understand what he's going through with his music. I really tested this. So people think because they understand the music, now they know this person. And that's why you see scenarios where like, you have somebody like Taylor Swift where her fans would track down what she's eating every day. They know exactly what she eats, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Like, you don't think that's a little weird? Like it gets to a level where like you can appreciate what they contribute, but like to your point, you don't know who they actually are. So if these people actually turn out to be bad people, because like you said, we don't know truly who they are. I think people feel like it's almost like an attack on them because they have latched themselves on them. So now they feel like they have to double down. It's just like, no, my person ain't like that, man. Or if it's just so bad, like you said, they're just to pretend like that doesn't happen. It's like, well, that doesn't matter. His music still defines who he is. I'm just like, okay, yeah, but we got to still acknowledge the behavior that we're seeing here. And it leads to that point. I'm just like, nobody should be put on a pedestal. These people are still human beings that just so happen to have a very creative outlet to play music or act. And they just so happen to be lucky enough, blessed enough, whatever you believe in, to get to the point that they are. They are no different than me and you that probably have talents and capabilities and stuff. We just haven't hit it big yet. But like Charlie, for example, if he ever blew up, like there will be people that would do this to you. They'd be like, oh my God, Charlie, his review on like Captain America, Brave New World just really resonated with me, man. Like, I know this nigga, bro. Like, I'll eat with this nigga. And it's just like, you don't know this nigga, bro. You don't. Like, and you're a good guy because I know you in real life, but it's just like these people are making assumptions, and it's just like it's okay to feel tied to somebody because of the contributions creatively that they're making in the world, but also acknowledge that like you don't know this person, and like, it's okay to not know that person, and maybe you can use what they've done creatively to have connections with people in your real life, but instead what is happening is that shift is from meeting other people with that connection to feeling like you are connected to that person that made the thing. So there could be many reasons why it's the case. I don't want to get philosophical, but I have like a specific theory on why people do that. But that's just like my like just immediate thoughts on that. So it's like I don't know how you fix that, because I think there's this weird blend of entertainment sewing in all our lives anyway, where it feels like everything's just entertainment now. Everybody is just on a show. Everybody is just like basically there's like it almost feels like we're in the office and there's always a camera somewhere.
We're in the Truman, like a true Truman Show right now.
Yes, and I think I think that does more harm than good, especially where we are right now in society. So I want to give these people grace, but also we want to keep like it's just like some of this stuff is just inexcusable. Like the people that are still defending Nicki Minaj, and I know what you believe in. It's just like why you hold on to this so bad? You don't have to. It's okay to acknowledge and change your opinion on this and be like, and people don't know it with Kanye, where it's just like, hey, shout out FD Signifier, my man. He was just like, yeah, I grew up in Chicago. I love the man. The man changed. I realized he wasn't what I thought, and I changed my opinion, and I don't like him anymore. It is okay to do that. It doesn't make you stupid. It doesn't make you look weird. It's okay to change your opinion on this, man. We don't know these people.
You know how much Young Money just like the downfall hurt me so bad.
Oh
like,
Lord, have mercy.
Grew up listening to all this like fucking Bedrock. As shitty as a song Bedrock was, nigga, me as a kid, I loved Bedrock. I loved Young Money. I was a Drake. Wayne was my favorite rapper for like my entire life up until I discovered J. Cole. So the fact when I saw Wayne up there tap dancing with Trump, I was like, ugh, that's a no for me. When I saw Drake going through the weird shit he was going through, it was a no for me. Nicki, I was been off Nicki for a minute, even before the Turning Point USA shit. I'm starting to get to that point with certain people like 50 Cent, with Snoop Dogg, Rick Ross, because they were all up there tap dancing for all this shit just because they're capitalists. And I'm just like, I loved your music and you were really influential in like my development as a child, but I understand you're acting in direct opposition for who I am and what I believe. So I can't just give you a pass for that shit. And Coach Stu has a good thing here that I think also it goes into a lot of conversation about athletes too, is people treat these people like idols who can do no wrong. Then it goes to their heads and they feel like they can walk on water, and eventually reality sets in. And honestly, it's so similar, because I'm not going to do a full review of this movie now, because I just recorded a review for it, and that video will come out like a day or so. But Marty Supreme, right? A general gist of the character that Timothée Chalamet plays, which again, if you guys have not seen the movie, go see this movie. It's a movie worth going to see. He essentially is this person who operates in this form of like supreme arrogance, supreme confidence, and narcissism to an extent, to where because he is the best, at least in his pool and in being America at table tennis, he now moves with this form of arrogance and belief that like he is destined for great things, for opulent things. Like, Buddy will legit like charm, because he's very charismatic, he will like charm his way into sleeping with like multiple men's wives. He'll order the most expensive things on menu just because it's expensive, not because the stuff's actually good. All this stuff because he believes that he should be great, because he's in a couple newspapers, because people are acknowledging him as like the best table tennis player. Like, he gets this inflated ego, and that's just table tennis in like the 1950s. So I can imagine certain people that are athletes, like ball. I'm looking at somebody like who's a fucking dumbass NBA player that annoys the hell out of me sometimes. But I'm looking at people like Draymond. I'm looking at niggas like LeBron to a certain extent, in certain manners. Like, because people love them so much, they just say they feel like they can do no wrong. Now these people who have no prior knowledge on political knowledge or music now feel empowered to speak on things because people just listen to anything that they say. Like I see it a lot with musicians, where a lot of artists will speak on things like AI or like. I'll get into this really quickly, and I don't want to stay in this too long. But the whole, and we'll probably speak to this in a different episode. But the whole F the streets movement, right? Are you familiar with that shit that's going on?
The what?
F the streets. So essentially,
no.
There was an interview a couple weeks ago where 21 Savage was talking about how, in his own words, Atlanta is a pedophile and PDF. Sorry, yeah. But the way he phrased it, he was talking about how when he was young growing up, the city culture encouraged him to stay in clubs at a young age, encouraged him to buy and do all these different things that are adult behavior, right? Like, he was like, it forced you to grow up early and put you in environments that you shouldn't be as a kid. And I understood that. I'm like, cool, I get it. The street life wasn't for you. But then that spawned a bunch of rappers like, I think G Herbo, Young Thug, other rappers like that, saying they're also like pushing the hashtag of F the streets. And for me, it's so crazy, because your entire career, you push street culture and like all this negative behavior, and that's how you made your millions and how you painted your image. And now all of a sudden you're just switching up on a dime. So all the people that were parasocial and like, because again, people talk about how the responsibilities on parents and kids. Yes, your responsibility is to make sure that your kids aren't doing crazy shit in the streets, and they're not, they're have media literacy where they understand that this shit is just entertainment. But there are a lot of children, as the NBA YoungBoy concert showed, that listen to this music and internalize this shit and feel like they are YoungBoy and do wild crash out shit. To where like the memes of niggas crashing out the YoungBoy music becomes a reality. Like to the point to where whole cities are canceling this nigga's tour dates because they fear there's gonna be civil unrest in the city because they know people are they're gonna go crazy. So when I see shit like that, I'm just like, like media literacy and this parasocial shit has to end because there's just so many different layered instances where it's an issue. Because now you'll have entertainers who preach one thing and build a audience and an image off of one thing, but because it doesn't therefore suit them financially anymore, or it doesn't suit them in their image of being more brand friendly, whatever it is, they'll switch that up on a dime, and now you have people looking stupid because they're stuck in this point in life that they've been put into because they were following the leadership of all these dumb niggas. So now your life is in a certain situation that you can't get out of, or you ruin relationships because, or if you're red pill, for instance, right? You've been preaching women deserve to be in the kitchen, or what do women bring to the table, and women are stealing my money, and now you're at a point in life where you're lonely because no women want to be around you, platonically or otherwise.
Right.
And now those same people, like somebody like fucking what's Buddy's name? Like Sneeko, right? Sneeko's hella conservative, and on a dime after he realized the money wasn't there anymore to be conservative, but he switched up and was like, yeah, that red pill shit is a scam. But now all the people that followed you are lonely as shit now. Or like the fucking fresh and fit. Like this is just a consistent thing I'm seeing from them to Nikki to whatever it may be. It's a thing where people just feel like they want to be their favorite idol. And therefore, they'll alter their whole life to be in a situation to where you don't have the ability to switch on a dime on who you are and your whole life. You're just stuck where you are. You have to do work to get out of that place you put yourself in.
Yeah. No, I mean, we could have a whole different stream just with this alone. But yeah, I think ultimately with these parasocial relationships we've talked this whole entire time about how like this is a waste of time or why do people care about this? But it's one of those things socially where it doesn't matter, but since it does matter, since people do care about it, it matters now. So like, yeah, why do we care about all this? We should, unfortunately, because Kai Cenat does have a lot of influence around people. Sneeko did have a lot of influence around people. It's like, yeah, we shouldn't care about these things, but people have now deemed it significant. So like, what are we going to do about it? So as we're trying to make this shift towards allowing people to understand you don't need these relationships, that's not going to happen overnight. These people have this tie to them where they want to change their whole personality or at least be very much influenced by these people. You see it all over the place. So, and none of us is immune to that. Nobody's immune to propaganda. That includes me and Charlie as well. Like we have to consciously catch our blind spots as well. So we're not sitting on that high horse, understanding that like we can be susceptible to this too. But you have to be conscious about this thing because the nigga said earlier, like I love Kobe, but I also know that Colorado case is still kind of weird to this day, and I'm willing to acknowledge that. So it's just like you just gotta cover your blind spots, man. You gotta remind yourself it is okay to be inspired by these people. Like be inspired by their music, be inspired by what they dress. Like I stole a couple outfits or two from people that I like that I saw online, but like it doesn't mean you have to be them because the best version of you is what you decide to do with all of that. You don't have to be like any of these people. And maybe that's the true answer to all this question is people lashing on to this because they got nothing in themselves. So we got to allow people to feel comfortable with their own skin and just hopefully, if you got some inspiration from somebody else, do it. But, you don't have to be like Kai Cenat. You can just be like Jordan Pittman or Charlie Wilson. Like you can just be yourself and then kind of move forward.
Our government's out there like that.
My government name is already way out there. So that's the reason why we were like, what do you want to be known as, Jordan? I was like, man, my name's already out there. I already do podcasts for work. So I'm already down the deep end.
Right. One comment here. And this is the last comment before we move into the last topic of the show that I want to, kind of speak on. Coach still talks about this is a good conversation, but are they hypocritical or are they allowed to mature and grow? Can they change their mind after growing or opportunities to change a narrative? So go ahead. I'll let you go first before I get my thought.
No. I chew on this a lot. So you go ahead. I already know exactly what I want to say.
So for me, I say yes, you are allowed as an individual to change and you have full authority to change how you believe, how you think. If you're an atheist one day and want to be the biggest Jesus Christ believer the next, you are allowed to do so. The issue I have in this scenario with these celebrities is that you push this narrative, especially a narrative that you don't even live by, and have financial and monetary gain, and you will even admit to the point that you're a culture setter and you're creating this culture and this conversation and this dialect that people go by. And all of a sudden now you're changing without acknowledging how you were part of the problem. And I think that's part of the issue I have with a lot of this F the Streets movement is that all these rappers are now jumping on board saying that, but don't acknowledge how they were the problem. Niggas like Young Thug, 21 Savage, like, nigga, I've been to kickbacks in college where Red Ops was fucking playing heavy, or Slaughter Gang. Like, you created this thing, and you have to acknowledge that you were a part of the problem. That's my only thing. I'm like, if you want to change, cool. Because whenever I see people in real life actually change, they acknowledge how they didn't like how they were living previously. They acknowledge how they were a part of the problem and change. I have issue with this because this feels like a monetary opportunistic shift, because you're at a point where you understand, rather it be in this economy, rather it be in the social climate, that you glorifying that behavior isn't making you the same money and doesn't get you the same cachet socially. So now you're switching up to a perspective that is more palatable for this current climate, and you're pushing it heavy. And it'd be one thing if, let's say 21 Savage, for instance, since he's the one that started the F the Streets movement, right? If he was to say that and then he went and supported and raised the voice to different activists that have been against the F the Streets movement, and he was like, you know, throwing money into certain charities or everything like that, we'll take charities out of it. He didn't even have to do it financially to contribute. Even if he just says, hey, I want to uplift somebody who's been passionate about this thing and been knowledgeable about this thing. It irritates me because you not only want to change, but now you want to be the mouthpiece for this movement that you were actively in opposition to for like your entire career. All of a sudden now, it just seems like an immediate switch up.
Yep.
I don't know. That's just me and how I feel about it. I feel as though, again, you're able to change, but there's a way to go about it to where it feels authentic and it doesn't feel performative, because a lot of this stuff feels performative as hell. It feels no different than Nicki Minaj going from being super pro the gays and super pro the women to all of a sudden turning point grifter. That is it's the same thing to me, where like she realizes she's not making the money in this realm, so hey, we're switching over here. So now I'm gonna have conservative back me financially and my image. I know I'll never go broke, because at the end of the day, these conservative Republicans or whoever it may be are going to always support anyone, black or otherwise, that promotes their message, especially if I have a platform. It's the same. It's two sides of the same coin, in my opinion, for me at least.
Yeah, and that kind of leads into my thought on it. I think we should always give people the opportunity to change, but understanding that just because you change your opinion, you still did that shit. And there's like, and that people that you hurt along the way, or maybe feel like how Charlie feels, you have to understand with that change that comes with the consequences of what you did beforehand. But that doesn't mean you're not allowed to change. Because if you don't, I like to always mention this, it turns into a panopticon situation where you can't see the guards, but the guards always see you. So you don't know when the guards actually see you in this hypothetical situation. So you're always walking on eggshells. You're not being your authentic self, because I'm not the same person I was a year ago. Hell, I wasn't the same person yesterday. Like, so you're, as Charlie said before, you're able to, with brand new information, change, but also, to Charlie's point, understanding your role in that. And as you make this transition, if there's anybody in the past that finds that suspicious, you're just going to have to just not get mad about that. You're just going to have to double down and acknowledge, hey, you might feel like I'm changing this and it seems out of the blue, but I'm really dedicated to this. And I'm not trying to prove this to you, but just to let you know, like, I am serious about this. And I hope you give me the chance to like prove it. Now, as time goes on, if it turns out that was a scam, then we can hold them down for that. So I think there's a bigger conversation about this, because I think this isn't just like a parasocial problem. I think this is a societal problem, like this idea of, I believe in this one thing, I can change this opinion, but then people are like, oh, that's hypocritical because you believed in this yesterday. But I'm just like, yeah, you can change with new information. But again, to Charlie's point, like, just know that those consequences can come. And if people feel skeptical about it, especially if you benefited from this, you can't get mad at them for being like, you just don't take my word for it. No, nigga, because you benefited from this. And now just randomly, conveniently, when you can't make money from it anymore, now you want to change. So Like it's an interesting discussion. But I do lean like Charlie said, I do lean like giving people the chance to grow. Because if we don't allow people to grow, then they're really going to double down to their evil ways, and then we're just going to fucking just like continue to be. Because I much rather work with somebody that's willing to change, albeit maybe it takes some time, and maybe they're going to lose some folks around the way who just doesn't believe in their change at all, than somebody who is so scared to change that you double down on it and then they don't have nothing. So
there is freedom of speech, but there is no
freedom of consequence.
You guys,
There's
there's
also
no freedom of consequence. You got to be accountable for what you've done in the past. Now, should you always be remembered for that? I don't think it's fair to, no, but that's the reality of the situation. When you do fucked up things, even if you're a good person now, your past is going to follow you, and you have to acknowledge that if you want to truly move on. I feel like at least in my opinion,
it's the whole thing of like everybody. I tell people all the time, everybody deserves forgiveness, but you don't deserve forgiveness always from the person that you hurt in that process. Like everybody deserves a second chance, but there's somebody along the way that you like messed with. Like they can still forgive you and just not want to associate with you. And that's just something you have to live with. Doesn't mean you're a bad person anymore because you're changing. But just because you change doesn't mean now you just get a free pass to like be with anybody or with those people before. If they feel like, yeah, I believe that you changed, but I've been hurt so much by it that I just don't want to be around you. That is just the consequences of it. It sucks. But you know, what's more important, making sure everybody likes you like they did before, or actually just being a better person, period. So,
for everybody here, we are going to end on a fun topic. We want to end on a good note. And kind of go back into the movies. We're going to be looking at the movies of 2025 that were not connected to any comic books, so no MCU, DCU stuff, or that weren't a part of a pre-established IP. So like Jurassic Park, things like that Warner Brothers have. We're not going to be recapping either. I just want to kind of take this as a moment to see just how much I worked this year in like reviewing movies. I watched a shit ton of movies, and also just for people that may not, be aware of what came out this year and maybe looking for good movies to watch. Now you have a bigger sample size to pull from outside of what you see typically. So let me pull this up. Give me one sec, y'all.
Very exciting.
Okay, here we go. So I just went to my playlist that I have for movie reviews, and starting at 11 months ago. So I'm gonna take Wolfman out of the picture just because that's based on like the original monster, the Wolfman from like way back in the day. Companion, and for fair warning, a lot of these are probably gonna be horror movies because I feel like horror movies really fit this mold for the most part for me, and then I tend to be more of a horror movie fan. But Companion, really dope movie. It was a horror comedy for the most part, so I highly recommended that one. I enjoyed that movie as well. Woman in the Yard. This is one of those movies where as the year went on, it is not movie of the year because I think there are a lot more movies that I think were better than this, but this is still an impeccable movie. A movie with a lot to say around trauma and self-deletion and just the idea of being a parent, especially a single parent, and what that looks like and taking accountability for, yourself in general. Moving forward, obviously, there's the heavy contender for movie of the year, Sinners, which, damn, this came out almost a full year ago.
So crazy, man. How good this movie was. How 8 months ago, man.
Dog, it does not feel that long ago. I feel like I just watched this in theater. Moving forward, again, I'm going to skip over Thunderbolts, skip over Final Destination, Bloodlines, and over How to Train Your Dragon. Over that, we're going to Weapons now. Weapons was another one of those things. Again, it's another horror movie, but I think at this point, if you're tapped into the internet at all, you've probably seen the hype around this movie. So I definitely understand that, and people that may already know about that one. We'll skip over The Conjuring, and we'll go into, The Long Walk is based on an established IP, being a Stephen King book, but I would like to throw this one in there just because it's a book that virtually nobody read outside of a hardcore Stephen King fan, and there's no prior adaptation before it. So it's like the first adaptation to my knowledge about this thing. An amazing movie, really made me I was already a fan of David Johnson beforehand, but I'm a major fan of David Johnson now, as well as the kid that he's the new Karate Kid in the new one, but he was in this film as well and played an amazing role in this. We have Him, movie that we both saw. That was dope.
I would defend this movie. This movie was good. This movie was good. I know a lot of people didn't like this movie, but as somebody like me and Troy who are from the South, like true South, and how football is such a religious thing, almost damn near down here, this movie spoke in droves to me. Was it a perfect movie? Absolutely not. But did it hit the beats that I wanted to get from it? Yeah, man. Like, what are you willing to sacrifice, bro? Like, that movie was good, man. I literally have nothing else to say. It was just like, if you don't like it, understandable. But like the ones who get it, just get it, bro.
All right. Back into it. We're getting the bestest boy, the good boy. This is probably like, I know it's not the best movie of the year, but this is like one of my favorite, if not my favorite movie this year, based on the story behind how it was made, based on how well it was produced, and again, the fact that the bestest boy is in this movie. Shout out my nigga Indy. Indy was a beautiful, amazing boy in this. Black Phone 2, I'm taking this out of the equation just because it's the second one. Great movie. Just, I'm taking it out of the equation. Shelby Oaks was another one that I was conflicted on. I really enjoyed the film. It is a movie that was made by, what's Buddy's name? Chris Stuckman, the movie reviewer a lot of people have watched before, and it was his first like directorial and writer debut. There's a lot of great things about that movie from a writing standpoint and a directorial standpoint. So I would encourage you guys to see it if you're a horror fan. But I don't know. I still gotta go back and watch that movie again to see how I feel about it. But it's good enough to make me want to go back and see it again just to see how I feel about it. And then the last movie I have, which again is Predator Badlands. This is another scenario where like it's a sequel, but because this did things so differently than any other movie in this franchise and it took such a unique take, I still would encourage you guys to go see this movie. I saw Predator Badlands twice. I saw it once by myself, and then me and Jay went to go see it together. I think like the next week, like a couple days later.
Yeah, movie was great, man.
Amazing.
Funny enough, that was actually my first Predator movie. So
yeah, it's not gonna. Don't go into any of the other ones thinking it's gonna be like that.
That's actually upsetting.
Yeah, I mean the closest one you'll probably get to it is Predators with Adrian Brody. But no, the rest of those movies are very much so like more traditional horror films. Outside of Alien versus Predator, but that was a horrible fucking movie. Love Sanaa Lathan, but horrible fucking movie. But those are, all my top movies from 2025. Just recapping that again, movies that are not connected to a comic book or any pre-established IP. You have the obvious big hitters and like Superman that came out, that was really good. You have a lot of other big movies that are attached to the MCU, whatever it may be. But, I just want to take my time to highlight films that I feel like don't get their just due as often. And then, number one on that list recently that I just saw tonight, Marty Supreme. I said it enough, but I highly recommend this movie for people that like movies. If you enjoy like movies and well-written, well-produced, well-acted movies, go see this shit. I'm even more excited for the next Dune movie just because I saw how amazing Timothée Chalamet was in this movie. I think this is like his best performance. Tyler, the Creator, did a great job in this. Like, I didn't know that nigga could act like he acted in this. Now I'm a bit of a fan of Odessa. What is her name? Odessa. I had to look at the name of her. Azon.
That don't matter. That don't matter. Boy, oh boy.
She's boy. You're sick. I know a lot of people are talking about wanting her to be the new cast for Wonder Woman, which she has the face, but Shorty is a thin, petite woman. I do not want to see her as my Wonder Woman. I'm sorry.
Wait, how tall is she?
I think you're muted.
She is 5'5".
I think Jay, you're muted.
Oh no. Let me see.
Dog, yeah, you're muted. Mike's muted.
Well, hold on.
Am I fucking up?
I don't know. My mic's working. It is on.
You still hear me, right?
Yes.
Okay. I think the audience does. I don't know why I'm not hearing you anymore. Oh, I know what I did. I fucked up. I pressed the button. My bad.
She blocked me. That's so sad. I was just saying that she's 5'5".
Yeah, again, we'll talk about fan casting at some point in a future episode. I've done a video on that as well. And usually, when it comes to fan casting, I say prioritize a acting ability first and foremost. But this is one of those scenarios where I'm like, you can find tall women actors that are good. Let's not go with her just because she's the hot thing right now. I genuinely think it's because of her.
I genuinely think it's because of the hair. Cause her hair does look just like, I think it's the hair. I really
it was a
think
red
it's the
carpet
hair.
too.
People saw the hair and they're like, yeah, this is enough.
Yeah, it's the hair, and she's attractive because I know there's this big thing on the internet now where like dudes are, if women aren't, I think it's been more of a big thing in gaming with like the new Tomb Raider. Well, not gaming. Well, gaming / anime with the Lara Croft anime that was coming out, where she didn't look conventionally attracted to a lot of people because she was more of a she was brolic as hell. So niggas are like, oh, we can't have beautiful thick women anymore in movies. We gotta always have these women that are mid or whatever it may be. And it brought forth a really nasty conversation that, again, we could probably speak on in a future episode. I'll say there's a topic for something else because it'll probably come back up for a future game or something, more than likely. But again, everybody that has made it this far into the stream, thank you guys so much. I really do appreciate you guys for watching the Captain's Lounge. Again, for anyone that is new here, the Captain's Lounge is essentially going to be a stream where I get to chop it up with my good friend Jay here. He'll be the more consistent co-host here. Every now and then I'll bring in other people that I really fuck with and have conversations about different things, maybe interview some people. But this is just a way for me to have direct conversations about things in pop culture that maybe take me a little bit more time to get my thoughts together on, or maybe record for on your YouTube channel traditionally. So I can just have candid conversations here with you guys. So you'll be able to see these streams every Tuesday at 8 o'clock is a new consistent schedule that we're going with. I actually have a literal schedule locked in now for the channel. So you'll get this stream every Tuesday, 8 o'clock. And you guys, for the people that are comic book fans and more into more of the nerdy stuff, on Sundays at roughly around the same time, maybe 9 p.m., me and Dr. K Renette will do our stream called the Pull List Therapy, where we'll talk about comic books from this week, from the current week, or just, things around comics in general as a whole. Maybe get into some anime stuff as well, but more so comic centered. So if you guys are fans of that stuff, you'll see us there Sunday. So you'll expect 2 streams out of me a week. And then I'll drop my regular videos throughout the week that I have planned out as well. So this year for the channel is going to be a big one. Thank you guys so much for supporting up to this point. We reached the 5,000 subscriber threshold recently, and we're only going up from there. So thank you guys so much for supporting. If you guys made it this far, do me a favor and like the video, because I gave you guys some good content. I feel like, do me a favor, hit me with that like. And if you're watching this on a mobile version, I think in streams after the fact, you can have this new function called hype points, where if you go to the comment section on your phone, swipe right to left, you guys can donate free hype points. These are free points that YouTube gives out every week, where you can boost a video and a smaller creator that you feel like is needing of it, and it does a good job to help us stay into the algorithm a little bit more, and just grow as a channel and success as well. So thank you guys so much for all the support. And again, for anybody that is unaware of anything else that I have going on, Reaper issue 1 is out now. For people that may not be aware, I have my first comic book that I wrote and produced. I got some amazing artists that are professionals. My guy Janoy Lindsay did a cover with. He's currently the artist for Absolute Green Lantern now, which is selling out. Donkey Kim, my amazing interior artist Julia Galazzi, she is amazing. And we're about to start production on issue 2 now. I'll have the Kickstarter for issue 2 going up soon for people that want to support and help me get that produced, because comic books are not cheap, and at this point, I'm really just making it out of the love for the game and wanting to be a better writer. So I'm operating in a deficit now. We made some money back in the first issue, and I appreciate it. It's amazing to be able to say I made money selling a comic book, but yeah, it's expensive. We'll put it like that. It ain't cheap. Before we get up out of here, Jay, is there anything you want to promote? Anything you want to shout out?
Yeah, I just want to. If Odessa, if she's listening to this right now, has my phone, she can text me, call me, anytime for sure. This is out there.
I'm sorry to hear that, because she's already called me big dog. This was my
hey,
you got it. But this is me, big dog.
Hey.
Is proceeding as I have foreseen.
It's all me, big dog.
Oh man, seriously though, hey, I appreciate you, man. I always love being on these streams. I'm always looking forward to the next one. So thanks for having me on.
And then again, for anybody that is looking for more content, I think Lily in 2 hours, my homegirl, Brandy, Solicit Cinema, she's going to be doing a stream where she's doing a watch along for Jingle All the Way. Again, another one of my favorite Christmas movies. Well, no, is it tonight? I could be lying. I know she's doing a stream, but I think Jingle All the Way was for. I think I saw that. I think that was late, but I know she's on the stream tonight. She usually does her streams. She's in Vegas, so her streams usually a little bit later for people on the East Coast. But she does a great job of keeping people up to date on what movies are going to be coming in theater, what deals you can expect to see in theaters, and what programs are you getting your best bang for your buck. So if you are passionate about going to the movies and want to do it for the best bang for your buck, that's her lane. That's what she does, and she's an amazing content creator. And her husband, They're just really great at what they do. So go check them out. Solicit Sin. I'll probably put the link for their channel in the description below. Then you go check out my guys. But again, this has been Captain Diesel of Captain Diesel's Dojo. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And remember, forever and always,
You're now watching the captain.
peace out. Be good people.